Welcome back. This is Pharma Careers, clear role breakdowns, practical skills, and step-by-step career roadmaps.
Have you ever really thought about how a medicine actually gets to your cabinet? Today, we're going to pull back the curtain on a hidden but absolutely critical part of the pharmaceutical world, quality assurance. We're going to break down what it is, who's cut out for this field, and how you could become a part of it. Just think about that for a second. Every single pill, every vaccine, it all goes through this incredibly complex maze of checks and balances. So who are the final gatekeepers? Who makes sure that what's in that bottle is not only safe, but is exactly what it's supposed to be? Well, the answer is a group of professionals in a field called quality assurance, or just QA. And you should really think of them as the guardians of the entire process. See, they're not just spot checking the final product. No. They are the ones who design and watch over the entire system to guarantee every single batch is perfect every single time. And that brings us to a really key point. QA isn't just some other department. It is the absolute backbone of compliance for the whole pharmaceutical industry. Without it, the entire system would be built on just trust. And let's be honest, when we're talking about medicine, trust alone is a risk nobody, and I mean nobody, can afford to take. Because make no mistake, this is a high-stakes world. When the FDA shows up for an inspection, it's not for a friendly chat. They have the power to shut a facility down, which can cause drug shortages that affect real people. A 483 observation, that's the official form an inspector leaves when they find a serious problem. A warning letter is even worse. That's the FDA formally telling you to fix things or else. And data integrity, that's the holy grail. If your data can't be trusted, nothing can. QA lives on the front lines of this every single day. Okay, so let's clear up the single biggest point of confusion for anyone new to this world. What is the actual difference between quality assurance and quality control? They sound similar and they work together, but their jobs are totally different. Here's the easiest way to think about it. Quality control, or QC, they're the players on the field. They're in the lab running the tests on the product, actually generating the data. But quality assurance, QA, they're the referees. They make sure the entire game is being played by the rules. They review the procedures, the equipment, the training, the whole system. So while QC gives you a test result, QA is the one who guarantees that result actually means something. So what does that actually look like day to day? What does a QA professional do? Well, it all comes down to managing these core processes that keep the quality engine of the company running. A massive part of the job is basically being a detective, because in manufacturing, things will go wrong. It's inevitable. That's called a deviation. When it happens, QA leads the investigation. And it's not about blaming people. It's about systematically figuring out what happened, does this impact the product we made, and most importantly, what is the real root cause? And that investigation leads to something we call a CAPA. That stands for Corrective and Preventative Action. The corrective part, that's the quick fix, the Band-Aid to solve the problem right now. But the preventive part, that's the real magic. That's the long-term plan QA puts in place to make sure this exact issue can never, ever happen again. It makes the whole system stronger. Now, manufacturing is always evolving. You get new equipment, you improve a process. This is where change control becomes crucial. Before any change gets made, QA acts as the final gatekeeper. They have to think through every possible impact. Could this new machine affect the final product? Do we need to redo all our testing? They make sure progress never, ever comes at the cost of patient safety. And on top of all that, their plate is still full. They're the ones who personally review and sign off on the entire history of every single batch of medicine before it can be released. They manage the company's official library of procedures, or SOPs, and they have to make sure the site is ready for a surprise audit at a moment's notice. The level of responsibility is just immense. So, what kind of person actually thrives in a job like this? Well, it takes a very specific set of skills and a certain mindset. You can think of it as having the essential QA toolkit. The absolute foundation is discipline. Good documentation practices, GDP, it's like their religion. It means every single thing you write down is clear, it's dated, it's signed. You can't just scribble out a mistake. There's a formal process for everything, because that document is a permanent legal record. You need to be a structured thinker, always be thinking about patient risk, and you have to be able to communicate clearly when the pressure is on. As one person put it, QA is basically allergic to shortcuts. Okay, so maybe you're listening to this and thinking, hey, that sounds like me. The big question is, how do you actually break into this field? How do you prove you're ready for a job like this? All right, here's the secret sauce. You have to show, not just tell. Don't just say you understand QA, prove it. And the best way to do this is by building with a source material called QA-proof assets. These are documents you create that prove you can already think and act like a QA professional even before you have the job title. So here's your action plan. It's 3 simple steps. First, go online and research what goes into a deviation investigation, and then create your own template. Include sections for tools like the 5 whys. Second, build a template for a CAPA plan. Make sure you have clear, separate sections for the corrective and the preventive actions. And third, draft a simple checklist for a mock change control. Imagine you are bringing in a new piece of equipment. What would you need to check? Walking into an interview with these in hand, game changer. And trust me, this effort really pays off. The growth potential in QA is huge. This quote says it all. You might start out just supporting the documentation system, but you can grow incredibly fast. You can move into owning major quality systems, leading global investigations, and driving real positive change. It's a career with a very clear, very rewarding path. So, we've looked at the high stakes, the detective work, the incredible discipline it takes. This is a career that is built on personal accountability, where your signature is sometimes the last line of defense protecting millions of patients. So the next time you open a bottle of medicine, you'll know about the guardians who helped get it there. And the only question left is, are you ready to be one of them?
If this helped, like and subscribe. Watch the next video in Pharma Careers for the next role breakdown.